Welcome to Building My Legacy podcast. This podcast is designed for leaders and entrepreneurs who want to leave a legacy and will provide strategies that focus upon key elements for legacy creation, determining your desired impact and its benefit, increasing your legacy's reach by engaging key stakeholders, planning, prioritizing, and executing. Here's your host, Dr. Lois Sonstegard.
Welcome, everybody, to today's Building My Legacy podcast. I have with me today Alex Dumas. Alex is a former New York person moving to North Carolina. I think a lot of people have moved these days, and so it's you've moved to warmer, nicer weather in many ways, and always a beautiful state to go visit. He is a business and lifestyle coach. He comes out of corporate sales, working as a rep for corporations, and then brings that knowledge and experience to his coaching experience. So that's a big brushstroke as to who you are and what you do. So tell us a little bit more about how you got into doing what you're doing and what your journey has been.
Yeah, thank you, Lois. I want to say thank you first and foremost for allow me on this platform, connecting with your audience, and having another conversation with you. So, I guess the quick cliff notes on me is back in 2014 when I was living in New York. I was working on a financial service business, network marketing style approach, and that was kind of like my first introduction into personal development. Was listening to people like Les Brown, Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, those kind of guys, and I would say around 2015 to 2016 was a real turning point year where a lot of things happened where me and my wife, our second child was born, our son was born. A few days after that, my mom had passed. A few months later, I was let go from a job that I was working full-time while I was building up the financial business part-time. So, a lot of challenges, a lot of rocky moments, and I decided, all right, let me try my hand at building this full time and have some success. But toward 2016, like early 2016, things started to really have a challenge. I just I just failed. I just basically wasn't able to generate enough income. I wasn't able to do the things I was supposed to do, and eventually I had to go back to that job, and it was really tough time, and I felt like a loser, felt like a failure. I really felt like I let my family down, I let myself down. But for those who are believers out there, God has a way of opening doors for you when you think things are closed. And the job that I found was selling merchant accounts for a company working with small, mid-sized businesses. Specifically, their target was entrepreneurs, coaches, health coaches, professional speakers, that realm that I was already starting to get interested in. So from there, I was going to conferences, going to seminars, meeting these people, and just really getting immersed into this world of coaching. The company was really big on personal development as well, so they encourage employees to look into courses and things like that. So that is really the spark of what I saw as a new door for me. I was like, oh, coaching, this is what I've been looking for. I have a background in psychology, and I was always interested in how people think, what people do, why do they do these behaviors, things like that. And it was just a progression into me deciding a couple of years ago, me and my wife saying, all right, let's do this together. Let's start helping people, serving people. She's been an entrepreneur for pretty much the whole time we've been together, which has been 15 years and counting now. And it's been a really great experience to just, to serve people, help people. So that's really as short as I can make it of this journey. I mean, there's a lot more in there, but those are really kind of the highlights of what's happened for me so far.
So for you, it's amazing because I think right now so many people are going through similar challenges. And, we've just come through COVID, but we continue to have uncertainty. And there's, I think, a new level of overwhelm that I perceive as I work with people. So your story and your experience is very powerful right now. So tell me, what got you through it? Your faith, I get that from, but tell us more. What got you through it?
Yeah, faith, trial and error. Honestly, I mean, as much as things have been going well for us over the past year or so, I mean, it's come with a lot of bumps and bruises. Come with a lot of trying this, or this failing, trying this and failing, and really just working on myself, working on my mindset of continuing to believe that I can do this, and whether it's listening to a podcast, reading a book, having conversations with people. My wife has been a big supporter. We're each other's biggest cheerleaders. So if she has an idea, I'm like, all right, go with it, run with it, test it out. Who am I to say it won't work? And same for me. She's like, yeah, go ahead, you can do this. So it's a lot of us leaning on each other, and just looking and just doing the actual things. That's the proof that, okay, this works, this doesn't work. And it's not to um, beat yourself up over. It's like, oh no, this launch didn't work, or this program I wanted to create didn't come through. It just wasn't the right thing. So it's a constant game of playing with it and experimenting, and for me, that's what works. Turn it into a game, turn it into fun, where I don't have this end all be all do or die attitude. It's like, okay, that's fun. And now what can I learn from it?
So for you, what was the biggest lesson you learned coming out of that experience for you?
The biggest lesson for me was, if anyone's ever read the 4 agreements, the first one is be impeccable with your word. And that was the one that came about for me, as far as doing what I said I was going to do, when I was going to do it, who I was going to do it for, and really staying true to it. And that's a way for that's been a way for me to build my confidence, because most people think confidence is a result of doing all these things, or it's a requirement. No, it's just a result. It's just a natural becoming of doing the things you're supposed to be doing. And I can't look myself in the face and say, oh, I worked really hard today. Well, if I look at my stats, quote unquote, well, you only did this for this many minutes or this many minutes. So really just being true to yourself, really being honest, and living in objective reality of not thinking that you're working harder than you are, or not beating yourself up because you're not doing as much as you're supposed as you said you were going to do. Just if you do something, you say you're going to do something, you do it. You follow through, and you keep going.
So for you, that's remarkable. I think that is one of the biggest challenges, especially for small businesses, is you have really few systems that hold you accountable. And so you lose track. You know you're working hard, but is all of what you're doing producing a result? And it's hard to measure sometimes, because at first you don't have many results, right? And so you make excuses, but there's a point where you have to say, okay, enough. I've got to really have a result. What do you see are the biggest challenges your clients have? What holds them back the most?
Yeah, the biggest thing I would say is just their own identities, depending if they are still full time at a position and trying to transition to coaching or into entrepreneurship, or if they're already full fledged, like going all out and doing that. The identity is everything, because we won't get more out of life and out of our businesses than we believe we deserve. If I'm a person who wants to run a race and I say, well, I can only run, point 0.2 of a mile, 0.3, then that's all I'm going to run. But other people, similar weight, similar health, and similar conditions, that other person says, well, I can run 10 miles. I can run 15 miles. So it's just that belief in yourself, is that identity. That's the biggest challenge that people come to me and my wife about. It's like, how do I do this? How do I do this? And I always look at it like, well, it's not really the how to is really more what do you want to do. And when we connect those dots of who you are, your identity, what you really want, and then get that bridge across of, all right, these are the things to do to get there, then it gets easier. We just make it a game. And for most people, they take things too serious. They get too wound up. Everything is, I have to do this. I have to. And when it doesn't happen right away, that magic, it doesn't, they don't make seven figures in those 7 days as, a program they saw online or whatever, a Facebook ad, then they get discouraged. And it's like, you have to follow the process, and your identity is part of that. You have to grow, you have to evolve, you have to be prepared for the long haul.
So when you work with people, Alex, what are some of the first things that you do to help them move ahead? Where do you begin that process? I hear you have a process that you take people through. So where do you begin? How do you begin?
Yeah, the process, I look at it is being a team within yourself, team within, if you have a business partner or spouse, whatever it may be. And the T aspect of it is really looking at the truth. And that's probably the biggest component, because we have to look at who you really are. And most people have this ideal of themselves where they feel less about. They don't feel worthy, or they may harp on beating themselves up about past failures or mistakes or whatever. And that's deep seated stuff. That's conditioning from childhood, all that kind of stuff. That's more on the therapeutic side. But we got to look at the truth of who you are and look at where you've excelled before, where you've had successes before. What do you really want to create? And when we start to get clear on that, now it removes that boulder in your mind of, I don't know how to do this. Oh my goodness, what if I fail? What if this and this and this? Like, no, you already know that you're a bad. You already know that you're a bad ass. You're worthy. You're a champion. You're a gladiator, in the sense of you've overcome these different obstacles. You've had these different challenges. You've moved forward. So that's what I bring to the table. Help draw out that brilliance within you, that genius, and help you connect those dots of, oh, I did way before here. Oh, I did have the success. Oh, I did do this. Yes, remember that, because that's what's going to increase your confidence and the likelihood of you actually taking action.
So for you, if somebody thinking about starting a business, being an entrepreneur, what would you suggest to them? What's most important for them to think about and to prepare?
Yeah, the biggest thing to prepare is just really kind of going back to the identity of who they really are, that truth, and why are they doing this in the first place. And that's so I laugh about it, because I'll tell you a story. I was just doing a workout before you and me had this conversation. It was a 45-minute workout, and I was struggling. I was like, oh man, I can't do these push-ups. I can't do these lunges. Like, it's all body weight stuff. And I'm just thinking, like, why am I here? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? And then I started to have the images in my head, like, oh, well, I want to have this as my target weight. I want to look this way in my clothes. I want to experience this with my kids and have fun and have this energy. And so it's really drawing out those whys, those reasons of, yeah, this is why I'm doing it. And for business, I equate that the same thing as fitness. There's going to be those days where you're having your phone calls, sales conversations, you're on social media, depending on where you are and what's available to you in the world, maybe speaking opportunities and connection opportunities. And you might be thinking, wow, nothing's happening. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? This doesn't make any sense. This is stupid. I should just, I'm doing all of this and nothing's working. You got to stay the course and be solid within yourself of knowing, okay, I can do this. I'm a champion. And my business vision is so much bigger than me. My vision has to be so big that everyone that I contact has to fit inside of it. And when you have a big enough vision, a big enough driver behind you, yeah, you're gonna have those hesitations. You're gonna have those days you don't feel like doing it, but you know your mission's so big that okay, I can do it, and I've been called to do it, so I'm going to.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
So for you, as you work on your business and you look at your next steps, your future, what's your legacy? What will you leave behind, do you think?
That's a great question. I think I want to leave a legacy of the realization of what's possible, of understanding that there are endless possibilities out there. And for someone like me and my wife, who've had very different backgrounds, but different, kind of the same challenges as far as self belief and having these, just kind of being afraid of different things, or whether it's our own power or the world out there. People have told us you can't do this, beating us down, and um, just all the garbage, all this thinking that comes across. I want to be able to leave that legacy, for people, especially my kids, that this is possible if if you're really committed to what you're doing, and you know who you are and know what what that vision is. Nothing can stop you. It's just a matter of having fun and following through. Just do it.
I like the notion of you're also bringing fun in, because I think when we get so busy and we're so challenged with all of the stresses, we lose sight of fun. And so, how do you incorporate fun into what you do?
Yeah. A lot of times for me, if people follow me on social media, I'll post something funny. Whether it's me playing with my kids, or me putting on a funny meme, or music I'll listen to, or I'll, I'll play games. I'll play little mind games with myself. Like, oh, let me see how many of, if it's a, say like it's a no game. I want to see how many people can say no to me in a week, and just me making outrageous, ridiculous requests and proposals to people, and just getting accustomed to that. You're not seeking to know. You're not looking like, oh my god, I can't wait to get a no. But you're conditioning yourself to be like, okay, it's just a word, or you just say a number, you say something, and just speaking it out, and not being attached to it. And I make it a game in that sense of, okay, it's over, it's neutral, on to the next thing.
Wow. It's a great approach, right? Because when we're having fun, we tend to also attract people um, that really want a different perspective in life. It's easy to be overwhelmed and stressed, but when somebody comes that has also fun, knows how to solve problems, but can also include some fun, it's sometimes a breath of fresh air. And so, more power to you. Good for you.
Yeah, I look at it as I'm having a party, and if you want to come to my party, you're more than welcome. If you don't want to come, that's fine. I'm still gonna have a party wherever I'm at. So that's my attitude about things.
Good for you. So tell me, as you look back on the lessons you've learned, the people you've worked with, the challenges you've had, what are some of the things that you think are most important for people to think about as they move forward?
Yeah. We touched on a couple, but just the identity, knowing who you are, knowing the truth of who you are.
Can I just
The other
stop
important
there
thing
with
is
knowing your
really,
truth? How do you know your truth?
I think it's at a point where you don't have to think about it, where it's where you're coming from. It's almost reflexive. It's when someone says, "Who are you?" I don't have to think. Well, I'm Alex Dumas. I mean, no. You know yourself like you know your phone number. It's just there's no incongruence There's no two-faced, two-sided and stuff like, all right, this is who I am in private, and now this is who I have to be in public. Like, you are who you are wherever you go. And I think that's, for me, that's what it looks like.
So do you spend some time in reflection to help you do that? Or how do you keep a handle on that for yourself?
Yeah, I'm pretty big on reflecting back. And it's easy as entrepreneurs to be in go mode all the time. And I like to say sometimes you need to go slow, and like start to look back at your calendar. Even I love to do that. Look at my calendar and say, oh, this hasn't happened. Well, let me look back the last 30 days, 60 days. Oh, I've had these many conversations with people. I've done this. I'm like, oh, I am like actually doing something meaningful and worthwhile. So keep going. I've done it and I know I can do it. We all need reminders. It's just, we're human beings. We forget. And then it's like, oh yeah, duh. Like, of course. So reflection's a big thing for me. I like to reflect, stay grateful. I pretty much jot down every night things I'm grateful for. That helps me really key in and look for those things throughout the day of, oh, this is amazing. This is something that's positive, something that serves me.
Got it. So our time is almost up, Alex, but tell me, as you think about the audience that's listening, what are some things that we may have not talked about or we haven't touched on it as much as you would like? What is it that you would like to share and leave with the audience?
Yeah, I think we touched on a lot. The one thing I guess I could leave with people is the work that I'm creating is really geared toward people's identities and helping folks not be weighed down by this quote unquote imposter syndrome or feeling like a fraud, because that's also a key thing for identities. Like I said, we won't get more out of life what we think we deserve. And if you feel like a fraud, if you're feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be found out because I'm not this super successful person, or I've made these mistakes in the past. Well, welcome to humanity. All right. Welcome to being a human. We make mistakes, we mess up, we screw up all the time. And if you have a commitment to yourself, a commitment to the people that you want to serve, tying in back to the big vision, now you won't be so hindered by these things. Um, you won't let these things sabotage you, and you can actually learn to embrace it. Like, oh, if I feel like an imposter, now I know I'm playing a bigger game. I know I'm not just staying at this plateau level point comfort zone. It's like, oh, I want to stretch, keep growing, keep going, and you'll reach your destination. It's a matter of time.
Matter of time, perseverance, and determination, I'm hearing you say, but an incredible willingness to look at yourself, be honest, and know how to correct, I think is what I'm hearing you say. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is just, the truth within ourselves, and not get too high on the highs and not get too low on the lows. Like, reality is somewhere right in the middle of what we're doing, and just remembering that, like, okay, if I made 10 sales calls today and one person said yes, all right, and that's what happened. It's a neutral event, but we can't expect to succeed and still have these doubts and hesitations that slow us down from activities. Yeah, they're going to be there. They're always going to be there. They're always going to be that doubt in my head, like, oh no, maybe this person doesn't want to talk to me, or maybe this person doesn't want to engage with me the way that I want them to. But it's okay. There's billions of people in the world. There's somebody out there that you can serve, and just be comfortable with yourself and make it a game. Make it a game as much as you can. So it takes that pressure off of you and takes the pressure off that other person too. So you're not forcing a product or a service on them that doesn't really fit.
Got it.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you so much for being with us today on Building My Legacy podcast. And for those of you who are listening to this podcast, we will have information about Alex in the show notes. So you will be able to contact him if you want to do that and ask questions. We certainly encourage you to do that. So thank you all for listening. And Alex, thank you so much for being with us. And remember to visit our website, buildtomorrow.com, and our social media platforms as well at buildtomorrow.com. Alex, thank you.
Thank you, Lois. Appreciate you.
You've been listening to Building My Legacy podcast with Dr. Lois Sonstegard. To book your appointment with Dr. Sonstegard, visit www.buildtomorrow.com.